better turn it off now. Well guys, welcome to my video. Hope you're all well and thanks for the well wishes. I've actually got over my COVID now and feel 100%. I wouldn't wish COVID on anyone, it's absolutely horrendous. But as we are now with the boat, it's almost finished. Got quite a lot this week to sort of say about this. We had, I think, remember in the last video we had the problem with the timing and the ignition, and I bought one of these. This is the Evolution one, but it's the RXL, the XL type of thing. I bought one of these. This actually does work on it now because I've changed all the sensor pickup and everything. Well, after making that video, I put the engine in the boat and it wouldn't run, would it? It fired and messed me about. It just would not run. So I found out in the end that I was told before about it, is that because the tank is actually mounted to the engine, it's all integral with the engine, that I've always put my engines on a slope, you know, like an incline, because it gives it a nice straight run to the prop. But obviously in this case it wouldn't suck the petrol up, and normally you have like a, you know what you do on aircraft with a little float on it that goes around the clunk, you know, in a tank so I can pick the fuel up. Now I thought I could either do that or I could go back to the drawing board and lay the engine down flat. So that's what I decided to do. So it was quite a job. I had to grind all the engine mounts out. I had to grind the bottom of the boat out because it's so thick. I mean, I went down 6mm when I put a wooden plate in there, and I glued it down. And I've got the keeper nuts in the back. You know, like the ones you put the engine mountings on the aeroplanes. They've got spikes in them, so when you do them up, they grip into the wood. So I'll take the top off. I know, I started polishing stuff up. Right, so I'll get my cup out of the way. This is what I've done. I don't know if you can see, but now that engine is parallel along to there, and because I've got it down so low that the prop shaft is you know, it's got an angle of about 20 degrees, if that, and it all seems to run okay. But this tank has to be kind of level. The other things I've been doing, when I got the engine in the boat in flat, it was running, but not running right. It wasn't getting 6,000 RPM like it did last time. And I tried and tried, and I couldn't get it done. So in the end, I pulled the engine out of the boat again. And I took the timing sensor bracket off, and I literally, by hand, moved the sensor up and down. And when I started moving it up, the engine started picking up so much RPM. It was crazy. So I've had to kind of make another, it's had to go around about 6mm. So I had to make another one of those to mount the sensor on. But now, as you can hear in that, I've got quite a good setup. I'm getting, what I've also done is I put a, let's see if you can see that working. I put on the mixer control here, I put another servo on it. You can see that moving. So it's sort of like optimum in the centre, and that'll give me kind of probably about 5,000 RPM. And if you sort of give it, reaching it a bit more, it'll do kind of 5,000, but it's not that strong. But when it's in the water, it might need that extra fuel. So this is why I've made it. I mean, if you go full lean that way, you can almost get it to sing at 6,000 RPM. but then I think it overheats and it starts to slow down again. So I don't really want to do that. And it probably wouldn't pull that. It'd be too lean in the water. I've had it in the pond. It's a bit worrying, but it's a very heavy boat, and it lifts over to one side because I had the batteries kind of on one side. I've got quite a big battery pack in there, but I'm going to change that. But if I put it in the middle, it's not too bad. But it's a kind of very rolly boat, you know. It's not. It's you'll have to take this out in really calm weather because I think when it turns, it's going to roll, you know. I mean, it's got the proper steering on made for it, so we've got the cables that actually pull the rudder back and forwards. But as you can hear, it ticks over lovely and slow. It's a nice, you know, it's a nice engine, but it has given me some headaches. The other thing as well, what you must do with this, if you have like an exhaust coming up like this, it collects oil in the bottom of this little silencer here, and so, you know, it fills it up and then it starts messing up the plug and everything. It still runs too rich. I'm going to change the fuel ratio. I've got it 25 to 1 at the moment, and it's too much. It's kind of oiling up my plugs. I mean, it's not too bad, but they come out really black. You can always tell because it starts playing up. You clean it out, put it back in again, and away you go. But it's oh yeah, so I made a drain. So I've drilled and tapped into the bottom of that, made a little nipple up, and I've got it on this. You have to use this, I think it's called Tigan tube. So I've got it on here. So what I do is when let's just zoom in a bit out. When I want to just drain it out, I just put a bit of tissue in the bottom of the boat, take this plug out and drain the oil out. It surprisingly, it runs quite wet, you know. Maybe when it's running at like full throttle for a little while in the pond, it might sort of clear itself, but when you keep starting it and messing about with it, it does get a lot of oil in there. And if you leave it, it's obviously going to fill that up. And you get specks come out of here, but when it's empty, when you drain that out, it's not so bad. It only needs a wipe over. So that was that. And then again last night, I found something else. Every time I went to tune this carburettor here. Oh, hang on, where are you? Let's get it back. Yeah, I don't know if you can see. There's a nut. Well, there's a nut on there, and then there's a little banjo from the tank where the fuel comes through, O-ring each side, and then there's a nut that does the whole lot up with a rubber O-ring, which the mixture screw goes in. Now, when I was messing, every time I sort of just rested my finger on it, the engine would go rich or lean. I couldn't work out what it was. It'd been like it all the time. And the bottom end mixture screw, you just had to have it screwed in. You couldn't screw it out because it would just stop. So I thought, well, that's maybe how it is. And then last night I realised that this nut here, it doesn't do anything. What it does, it had come out, and it's not a nut, it is a hexagon shape, but what it does, it actually is an interference fit with the car body. So this spray bar was just flopping around all over the place. And I wonder if it was changing, like, you know, mixture settings all the time. But so what I had to do is take all the carburettor out again. I mean, I've made up these little Allen keys. I'll grind the ends off them, you know, just so you can get in there. But it probably would have been quicker for me to take the engine out because you get like half a turn. Oh, nightmare. But that's besides that. I've sorted that now. So what I did was I just put it on a piece of alley, an alley tube, and I just tapped that back in. It's a nice press fit into this car body. So anyone gets one of these engines, check that this spray bar has not come loose, because it does mess about with your settings. And now I have to open the secondary needle, not the first needle, because it won't run if it's shut. So it's actually doing its job. So I've only got it 1.5 turns out, but you can actually tune the bottom now, so lean or rich. Or it does make kind of a little bit of a hole in the top setting as well. So, you know, I've just been here now because I did this last night and it's starting to run. I thought that's fine. But obviously I come up here to make a video And I started it up and it wouldn't run properly because I've had to change these settings, and this needle here does actually work now. So I've had to get here. It's very fussy engine on the needles, I must say. That's why I put this on here. But I think it's oiling itself up all the time, because if you just run it like full bore, it gradually cleans out and it cleans out, and it'll go well over 6,000 RPM. But you have to open the throttle gently and stuff like that. And I believe when it's in the water, it's going to get nowhere near those RPMs, and I'm going to have to run it a little bit richer, which is fine. I only want it to potter around like it should do. Someone said to me, oh, it looks like a boat from Lake Windermere, you know, which I have been to the lakes quite a lot. I used to do a lot of fell walking there. Lovely place. And it's kind of, I thought, yeah, there was boats like that up at Windermere. I've done a search myself and I can't find anything on it. You know, anything. No one sort of come up and said, oh, I know exactly what that model is or whatever. But, you know, it's a lovely old thing. I'm going to have to try and put some buoyancy in it because it is quite rolly, and I think I'm going to have to be very, very careful. You know, like I said, I think it was built for a straight liner. But, you know, who knows? I don't know. It's just a big old electric motor in there. But to get this to run nice, you must get one of these, the timing. I mean, I've just been looking at Facebook now on a Sterling group. The guy on there, David Nicolai, Lassie, he's got a Howin and having absolutely horrendous time with it. It looks like all the ignition's burnt out on it. You know, it's the same. Obviously, Sterling kit are using the same ignition on all their models. It's not very successful, you know. And I would imagine a Rexel setup like I've got on here for a 4-cylinder is not going to be cheap. So maybe they're going to send him another, you know, unit. But this is what happens with time, and it'll drag on. That'll be like another month or so before he gets that. And then who's not to say he had the same problem as I had? Because, you know, if you remember, I had 2 of them, you know, absolute garbage. They are absolutely horrendous. You might as well just, if they come on your engine, and you want to use it in a model, these are no good. And I would imagine that poor old David has got this problem with they're probably a very similar setup to this, and you know, they're really cheap as chips, and they're not a good setup. You get all the interference with it, you know, it's just terrible. You buy a Rexel unit, you put it in, the engine runs fine. I've got adjustable timing, I can just move it slightly back and forwards for the optimum position, which I've probably got now. No interference whatsoever. You know, you don't have to wrap silver paper around stuff and all that kind of thing. It just does what it says on the tin and it works, you know. So that's why with the actual boat itself, I put all new window glass in here because I don't know if you remember, it was all kind of, it looked like being in the sun, and it was very thin. It all distorted and gone, you know, it always sort of discoloured and it's brown and everything. But I don't think you can actually see in the vid there is actual brass window frames. I'll see if I can just zoom in on that. I don't know if you can see. Well, where the window goes round in there, they've got the guy made actual brass like window frames, and then he folded them round the glass or the plastic or whatever you want to call it, and it's got proper like screwed. They're screwed in with little brass screws like you can see here. Let's just zoom out a bit, and yeah, so I managed to get all them out. Not easy. And I repaired the window frames, I soldered them, stuff like that, and I found some thicker glass, and so I've put them all in with the original brass frames, which is a bit of a pain, but it looks nice, and it's painted kind of red inside, so it looks quite smart. And I know I said I weren't going to polish the brass up, but you know, I was sitting here and It weren't easy because someone had like put like 4 or 5 coats of thick varnish over it, which was kind of very hard to get out. I had to sort of scrape it out, use paint stripper and all that kind of thing. But I think it looks better. You know, you've got all the steering nice and shiny now. Everything kind of looks all right. So you get onto the propeller. Where's it? Oh, right. This was the one. Someone had made this. I believe everything here is scratch built, and that's on like a taper. So this is a brass. This is what was in the boat. I tried to run it, but it was so warm because what you've got is you've got brass on brass, which is not good, as anyone knows. And all it did was when I started the engine up, it just chattered. The engine wouldn't rev because it was just chattering. So I've made another one up out of silver steel. It's sort of round about 6mm, 1/4 inch. And I have to keep polishing it and polishing to get a nice fit. But it goes in there right now. And obviously this prop is miles too big. Like I say, I've had it in my fish pond, and I've had the engine running, and I had it on sort of prop around about that side. I think it was a 50mm, but it was very thin on pitch. But every time I opened the throttle, obviously it just killed the engine. So I've gone to a smaller. I mean, this. Let's see if I can get down here. I've gone to a smaller. That's a 40 3-blader, but I've run it with this on in the pond. This is a 35. A standard pitch propeller, and it revved with that on, and I think that will probably be the one, but we'll try this one as well, you know, with a 3-blade prop. So that was that. I'm only using straightforward, it's I think a Carburettor prop shaft, just cut down. Now these are the little things kind of you need, all these little hypodermics. This is the one to fill the water up with, because the problem is they've got a small hole and it don't let the air out, so they're really hard to fill. It's like the tank as well. I've got a little Thunder Tiger tank that I use to fill it up. It's not fantastic. I'll say I'm going to thin the oil. I've gotten some more petrol and I'm going to make a thinner mix and try that, because it does tend to oil up. I don't know if you saw, I've got in here. Well, I've got a little pipe. After kind of about an hour's running, put in sort of about 10 mils, maybe 20 of oil in the bottom of the crankcase. Don't put too much in, because again it starts to hold the plug up. It comes out the side of the ring and it holds the plug up, because you know these ain't actually got a ring. It's like a high temperature O-ring. So they're little bits and pieces you need. It seems to like running on these plugs, standard quarter, like glow plug size. And if you use anything to do with petrol, you've got to use this Tiger tube. So that's where we are, guys. We'll just see if it might run up again. Are we all on? Red light on. Oh yeah, I've got an optical switch on it, so I can stop and start it. I've got a little red light down here, if I can find it. There it is. Yeah, so we've got a little optical switch, so if I get a runaway or anything. So that's live now, and if I want to, that'll cut the engine, and that back to starting it again. You can see the rev counters in there. Let's just see what we get. Well, nothing can ask better than that, can there? Full starter works well. And I'm thinking I might put a clutch on it, because even that slow, it's still trying to push the boat along. So maybe I'm going to get a little clutch in it, so it will just tick over. But this is where we are at the moment. cleaned it out. I just love that. I can watch this all day. Alright then guys, I'm going to sign out. Hope you like the video. I've got, I think, 992 subscribers now, so I might make that magic 1,000, which I would love to get. And you know, that's what I'm looking forward to. So I hope you like the vids. Hope to get one of this running soon, but it's just been raining and raining and raining. And I've still got a little thing sorting out, but yeah, I'm really pleased with this lovely little boat. So I'll see you in the next one, guys.